Video saved or not, we kind of got cut off, but just in case, we'll do our intro one more time. I'm Yamino, the artist of Sister Claire, and I'm joined tonight by
the one, the only, the incredible, the indelible Ash Barnes. I write the missing moments and I help Eleanor write the comic. We're also joined tonight by
Sarah, former worm wrangler and resident rat tamer.
rolls off the tongue more and more every time you say it. And tonight I'm going to be continuing working on some Patreon story sketches. Most of them are of Nib, so that's why I asked Lara to get this picture up of her, because I forgot that I had designed her in her mage robes.
the fridge is making mysterious noises. Hissing noises. Does anyone have any other questions?
You like her?
Huh? Oh, yeah.
Oh, you weren't aiming at my picture.
No. But it's cute. Rita asks, are you looking forward to Christmas?
Yes. You know why I'm looking forward to Christmas? Because we are going to our favorite place in the world for Christmas. Well, we're not going to be there on Christmas, but it is our Christmassy anniversary trip to Hawaii. I'm really looking forward to that.
Rogue Reptile says, should I be here if I have 2 finals this Monday? Well, I mean, you got the rest of
It's
the
only
week.
Friday.
You got the rest of the weekend. Don't burn yourself out studying.
Good luck.
So don't. So I don't know how to say your name, Soto. I'm sorry. Sodonolite.
Where is it?
Sodonolite.
Sodonolite. Yeah.
Sodonolite. Yeah. I don't know.
Sounds like a Gemsona name.
Yeah, it's a pretty name. I can say it. It's one of those words that I can say in my head perfectly fine, but when I try to make my mouth do it, it's like, haha, just kidding. They ask, why are you so lovely?
Yeah.
Oh.
Ash was born that way.
How did you get to be so lovely?
I ate a lot of lovely people and absorbed their power.
There can be only one.
That's always what I say when people ask, how did you get so blah blah? How did you get so good at art? Well, I ate a lot of artists and I absorbed their power. How did you get so tall? Well, the thing is.
Snark Fins asks, is Nib still alive by Claire's time? That's a good question.
You can't see it, but I'm wiggling my eyebrows. Even if you were here, you wouldn't be able to see it because my bangs are too long.
Ame asks, have you ever explained why Claire eats wood thing? No.
Have you ever tried it? It's fun.
Like, imagine that it has something to do with sustaining what lives in her. I can't really say much more now.
I can explain my original reason for it, which is no longer relevant.
You should.
It was that, Claire was originally going to give birth to a giant robot, and she was going to eat wood and then stone and then metal. And then make the baby.
Oh, Zach asks, what does Roshan mean? It means, it means like brilliant light. So you might say that Sabine used to be called the Bright One. Google will tell you that it means shining light. Talking to people who speak Farsi, they say it's more used to describe like a brilliance, a beacon, a bright one. What?
What are those? Oh, the lighthouse I was mentioning.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't sound quite as poetic, but I think that Sabine is kind of a lighthouse.
No, I think that's pretty
It
poetic.
draws people in from the storm.
That's a very important thing, though. Sabine serving that role.
Mm-hmm. Is it too late to change Roshan to whatever lighthouse is in Farsi?
What? I mean, what?
Change her name to Lighthouse.
I think it's nice how it is.
Yeah. I'm kidding, Ash. I think Roshan is probably way prettier than whatever Lighthouse would be in Farsi. Why did you name your child Lighthouse? Well, they were born in a lighthouse, so it just couldn't think of anything else on the spot. We couldn't just call it baby all the time, so...
Laura asked, what does Sabine mean again? I don't know. I just thought it was pretty. I just like it.
It is a nice name.
It seemed like a name someone would pick if they were trying to make a new start.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's not as though she disliked her old name. She just wanted to reinvent herself. That would be something I would really enjoy doing. Writing missing moments about a younger Sabine.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe one day I'll get the opportunity to do that.
I just realized that drawing this map from the back, you're not actually going to see what she's looking at, so you just have to use our imaginations that we know she's looking at a map.
I think her face is more interesting anyways.
Mm-hmm.
Fernandita asks, Elena, I've wondered, was it a stylistic choice to make rosaries more rounded, or was that a deliberate decision to try to distance this comic from real-life Catholicism?
No, it was definitely just a stylistic choice, because when I was first drawing the comic early on, I was trying to like hyper stylize everything, and now things have gotten a little less strict with using that kind of illustrative formula, but I don't think I even looked at actual rosaries for reference at the time. I just wanted it to be like a hint of a rosary, but not really be representational, if that makes sense. Although there is one time that I've drawn a super realistic rosary because trying to draw it cartoony kind of ruined the scene. And that's in the missing moment with Hannah and what's her name?
Agatha.
Agatha, that's right. Every single one of these descriptions Laura wrote are like, sorry, Elena, the text ended right at the bottom of the page. It's okay. So, an outline of Zora and her grandmother. Can you give me a quick description of her grandmother?
Old and short.
Okay, so not like Zora.
No.
How little is Zora here? Like, as small as Jackson was in that wallpaper I did?
Hang on. I guess she's about, I don't know, 10, 12.
Okay. Oh, I should ask, they're causing the tornado, right? Like, they should be posing like they're doing magic. It doesn't say that, but
Zora is not helping.
okay.
こんばんは。
こんばんは。どうしましたか
Hey, y'all,
We're
we got a visitor.
we're doing a live draw for our comic.
Oh, but it's just like one scene of the movie. It's very famous on Japanese people. The title is 家族 Game. Have you ever seen that?
I have.
Yeah. Don't you remember the
I
living room?
yeah.
Just like
Yes.
So
Yeah.
I thought that you were shooting the movie.
Oh no.
Okay. I forgot to put this.
Oh.
Yeah.
How long is her hair, dear? Who? Grandma.
Doesn't matter. Did you die,
大丈夫です。これを返すのを忘れていました。
Can you explain what's going on to the chat?
じゃあまた。
じゃあまた。
外はとても寒いです。It's so very cold outside. Take care, bye bye.
Bye. The door's gonna slam.
It's too late. You
There's no.
can't- Yeah.
Thanks, Sarah. So, for everyone curious, that was Fukuya Sensei. She's a Japanese professor here in my department, and she is lovely, and I really like her.
I've never had a course with her. She seemed nice though.
She's very sweet. You could just see on her face the eh. It's been a long time since I've seen Kazoku Game. Really long time ago.
Today I was spending some time with my rats and Frodo sat in my lap and I pet his head and he fell asleep. He was being
Aw.
very sweet.
That's really cute. He's a good boy.
He was really good. Ash, you know your thoughts about that song that you've been listening to all the time? Is that a surprise?
I don't know if anything will ever come of it. Rogue Reptile is asking about the justice system in Throne of Mare and says, like, let's say murders, if there was a suspect and all that. Well, they're like certain members of the guard do serve as detectives and things like that, or the equivalent to a detective. Like, if a person was caught and proven guilty, then they would be subject to execution by hanging. Oh, Eden, sorry. You know, the justice system in Eden, I haven't given that a ton of thought, but I can't imagine that they would have had a capital punishment. Like, I can't see Clementine really being for it with this. Like, there are a couple of crimes that in Clementine's eyes are inexcusable. Poaching would have carried an immediate death sentence in her eyes. Like poaching Selkie pelts. Going after Selkies. I would have to think about that more, because as much as I don't think Clementine would have been for an institutionalized capital punishment, I also don't think she would have let people walk all over her, and I don't think she would have let someone who was very obviously guilty of a hideous offense go without some sort of punishment. That also brings to mind the question, like, did Clementine herself ever intentionally kill anyone?
I know we've had this conversation before.
Sephi says, I kind of would expect Zora's grandma to have a tighter curl pattern. By all means, this doesn't have to be canon. Zach says, would she abuse her knowledge of warding seals in response to crime? How do you mean?
I think they mean putting wards on witches. Like, not wards on seals, the animals, like
Oh, like warding
people who misuse their magic.
wards. Yeah. I can't see that being a punishment Clementine would inflict on anyone.
Mm-hmm.
But then again, I would need to think about the circumstances. Let's also keep in mind too that though Clementine founded Eden, like, there's a lot about Eden that y'all don't know yet, and I don't mean that in a teasing way. I just mean that in the we literally haven't revealed any of it yet. But I can tell you, I don't consider this a huge spoiler because we've mentioned it canonically. But Clementine had a council, and a lot of decisions, like judicial decisions especially, it's not as though Clementine herself would have been expected to serve as judge, jury, and executioner for all manner of crime in Eden.
Was her council all people that she knew prior to founding Eden?
No.
How did she find them? Just through word of mouth?
She met many of them before she started Eden, but like others came to be on the council after Eden was founded. And some of them were probably recommended to her by standing members of the council or by groups of people who would have arrived and would have needed a representative. And in that case, you know, maybe they were suggested to her, or something that you're going to find out about Clementine's habits when it comes to Eden. Clementine was very involved in the city, and I don't just mean in pulling it from the ground up. I mean that she was very involved with the people in that she walked around a lot, she talked to people, she listened, and this got harder and harder for her to do as Eden got bigger and bigger. But chances are, if there was a problem, especially with a particular enclave of people, Clementine would have invited a representative for those people to come to be on her council. I don't know if it would have, you know, if they would have made it to the position of being on like a high council, but would have at least been invited to speak to the council, maybe to serve as a temporary member, could have eventually worked up to be a full member. There are people that she tapped when she was getting ready to build Eden. Are you recording this, by the way?
Yeah.
That is a very interesting question, Zach, about crime. Because let's be real, I'm sure it came up. Soto wants to know, as someone who bought nearly all the Sister Claire teas on a different topic, what are your favorite teas?
I really like the Claire one. I like the Marie one, but it's very similar to the Claire one. I like the Zora one a lot. It's kind of unusual.
I like the Zora one.
I also like the Grimm one. I wouldn't say it's my favorite, but sometimes I get in the mood for it. It tastes weirdly like cola sometimes. Like.
I like the Luba one a lot.
Sephi says that she has a question about shards and such. Oh, she said, I was trying to explain some story things to my husband, and he had a lot of questions about what would stop a shard because he is a sciencey person. Okay. Good question. Sephi said, so would spit, blood, soup, or tea affect them at all? Like liquidy things?
Grimm doesn't like snow because it's still water. It doesn't like burn Grimm like regular water would, but remember when Grimm was in Catherine's body walking through the snow, Grimm was like cursing the snow.
Yeah. Spit, blood, soup, or tea, like, I wouldn't think that would affect them a ton. I don't think they would like getting splashed with tea or soup. I don't think spit or blood would bother them. Definitely not blood. Spit, nah. And I don't think someone could summon up enough spit to really be a threat.
Except maybe you, because you're apparently really good at drooling.
Apparently.
Tell us some stories, Ash.
That's okay.
It's more interesting to just leave it at that.
Oh, Arita asks, what about Sister Claire clothes? Is the idea still hanging around somewhere, or did you drop it?
Clothes.
Clothing
Clothes.
items like the hoodie you designed.
It's just, there aren't really many stores that will let you do on-demand, all-over printing, which is the kind of clothes I would like to do. But if there is anything that you are desperately interested in, ping one of us and let us know, and we can see what we can do about making it happen.
In regards to the shard and liquids thing, Zach said, I always thought it would be about how much volume of liquid there would be to dissolve them, and if it wasn't enough, they wouldn't be affected, just annoyed. Yeah. Like, a little splash of water isn't going to, like, go right through them, like, you know, lead through snow, like hot lead through snow or anything.
Is there like an equivalent to holy water in the Sister Claire universe?
I mean,
Blessed water.
water.
Just water.
Yeah.
Just water. But there's no like
There's no extra deadly
special
water.
improved deadly blessed water.
Not really. I mean, I'm sure someone could spell water. Like, we see Jackson using a word to purify water. I'm sure that would extra hurt a shard. If it was full of a particular kind of, you know, purification magic. That is a thought.
So water dissolves them, I guess, more for like energy reasons than physical chemical reasons.
Probably. Asking the hard-hitting questions. I don't know, it's just a thing.
Okay.
I'd need to think about it some more. I don't want to give like a definite answer and have some Sister Claire scribes, you know, putting it down and being like, Ash said this once and it is now law. Yeah. That just made me think, like, a good way to defend a city from shards would be to have a system of trapdoor aqueducts arranged around the city.
Or build a city in the tropics. Make a Sister Claire city.
There is a Sister Claire city in the tropics. We just haven't gotten to fully explore it yet.
That's exciting.
It's the Drifter capital city.
Let's make it Singapore.
It's not Singapore.
Drifter core.
But shards that evolved in the tropics would probably have a natural resistance to water. That's the thing, some shards do have a resistance. In fact, there was mentioned once in a much earlier live write that there was one lingering in the rain. Sephi said, my best friend was telling me about people who help you make pins. I've noticed enamel pins are super popular lately and been thinking about making some myself. Do you think you'd make pins for Sister Claire? We have certainly thought about that. We have gone so far as to ask Lara to do research for us about it. But right now, since we don't have any conventions planned, it's not a super high priority. Because things like this, like you have to, you know, do a minimum order most of the time. Not always, but most of the time. And we don't really want to be the people who ship these out ourselves. We just don't really have the time, and we don't want that responsibility. That it's a lot to handle. So what we would prefer to do is to sell these at conventions, but right now we're also not super interested in going to a ton of conventions because we don't have many books. The only books we have right now aren't Sister Claire, they're Valor. And while that's great, we've already sold those. Like, it's been out for a couple years now, so it's not as much of a hot button item and hot ticket item, I ought to say. And when the only other thing we would have to sell would be pins or prints, it's, we need it to be a little more lucrative than that. So we're waiting until we have more books to offer before we hit the con scene again.
Mm-hmm.
But we would be delighted to have pins. It's definitely in the cards.
Mm-hmm.
What if you made a set of Sister Claire cards? Like playing cards or tarot cards?
Elena would have to design them, and I think that would maybe take her a bit longer than she would like to invest.
Mm-hmm.
Because there are a lot of cards in a tarot deck.
Yeah.
I think it could be really cool, but I think it would take a while. And it seems like a limited,
A niche item.
yeah,
Do millennials even play with cards anymore?
yes.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember the last time anyone invited me to play cards.
I don't know how to play any card games.
Not even Go Fish?
Nope.
Off the top of my head, I'm not sure I could remember exactly how either. I liked playing War. That's a very easy game. It's kind of like playing rock, paper, scissors, but with cards.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you have your stack, they have their stack, and you both put your cards down.
Wait, did you say it's like playing War?
The name is War. It's like playing rock, paper, scissors, but with cards.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, all of the cards have kind of a hierarchy. But there's also something to do with timing. Like, I think you say, I do declare war, and then you both turn over your cards, and the first person to realize, like, which one has the hierarchy gets to grab both of the cards, or something like that. I remember you have to try to snatch the cards as fast as you can.
It doesn't sound very fun.
I remember at the time I enjoyed it, but it's probably because I had faster reflexes than all the other children I was playing with. So.
At my extended family reunion every year, we usually play a card game called Nerds, and everyone has to have a deck of cards, and you stack them in a certain way, and it's kind of like playing group solitaire, where you're playing solitaire with your cards, and then you have a stack of Nerds cards you're trying to get rid of up into the shared pile that's like starts from ace and counts all the way up. But that's also very fast-paced and moving. It's a fun one. It's one of complicated rules and heartbreak.
Like most games are.
Sephi asked, do you have to send the prints people buy at the Hiveworks store thing yourself? No, we don't. And it is a possibility that the pins would be sold through the Hiveworks store.
I think they would be, actually.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's a thought.
There's still the question, though, of like getting the pre-order for all of them, and right now we would rather save our energies for Kickstarters for actual books.
Yeah, which, we're hoping that will be coming up in the next few months. Roque Reptile says, how likely would Clementine be to believe someone, probably someone on trial, that claims they are from another dimension? I think she would be more likely than most to believe them, considering there are other dimensions canonically in Sister Claire, they're just not the sort that it's not like, you go through wormhole and there they are. Like, I'm talking about Limbo, the place with all the strange stars. I mean, for all that it's very, romantically described, it's a different plane. So that counts. I mean, it's a canon thing. If you're talking about someone from a whole other world, I think she might be very skeptical.
I think Clementine would be of the opinion that even if she was, like, really sure this person was completely nuts, she would want them to be treated with respect.
Of course.
Like, unless, they're harming people, but...
Yeah. Oh, Matt says, Ash, Elena, I had a thought about the plague. Did you? Go on. Brother Nerd asks, did Eden have a standing army or organized militia? No. Think about it. It's a city with what is largely considered to be, with someone who is largely considered to be the most powerful witch in the world as the founder, and she is surrounded by equally extraordinarily powerful witches.
And that giant thing.
And the giant thing. Which, I think y'all know what it is. Her friend. Would you really want to attack Eden? Like...
Who could?
Yeah, you could certainly try. And oh wow, how badly you would fail. That is not, however, to say that Clementine didn't have her problems outside Eden. Oh, that is an interesting theory, Matt. Rather than read this aloud, I am going to turn my screen so Elena can see it. It's Matt's theory about the plague. It's a very interesting theory. I will say something about it, though. And I think, let's see. You say, he's the only character that didn't die in Eden that could travel that fast. What kind of fast do you mean? Because that's also not true.
I can think of a handful of people who can travel very fast.
Mm-hmm.
Like some people who ride creatures that can fly very fast.
Or
like somebody who is blue.
I can also think, I'm not even just thinking about Gabrielle, but I'm thinking about Selkies.
Mm-hmm.
Like, one of the reasons, okay, here, like, it's a good theory, Matt. I'm not trying to, like, slam it into the ground. I'm just saying there are, things you need to consider. Eden had lots and lots and lots of people in it. Magpie was certainly not the only one who lived who could fly or travel quickly. That's all I'm saying. But here's some hard and fast information about the distance between Eden and Thronum Mare that you can count as canon, because it is a for sure thing that is in fact already in canon. It takes 1 week of sailing to reach Eden from Thronum Mare. That, however, does not mean smooth sailing. If you look at Clementine's map in the missing moments, you will see at the sea gate of Thronum Mare that there are very, very strong currents and rocks. There are switchback currents between Thronum Mare and Eden.
What's that mean?
That means that the currents can very unexpectedly change direction and smash ships against shoals or rocks. It also means there's also winds that come in off the land next to the sea, and those can also very quickly change direction, and someone who isn't extremely experienced sailing could have their sails ripped off and their masts snapped. So the journey by ship to Eden is not super long, it's just a little bit treacherous. Walking along land, like if you can get over to the land, which Clementine does not recommend you do, it takes longer. You have to go over some mountainous areas.
For people who are moving to Eden from elsewhere, was there any kind of organized guides that would take them there?
Yes.
Was that organized by Clementine or Eden officials, or was that more of an unofficial?
No, it was definitely organized by Clementine and members of her council. If you look at the map, Clementine has written notes on it. Mummel often helped organize trips for people to get to Eden, which also meant sometimes that probably the royals helped in a discreet way.
How did the general population in Thronum Mare feel about Eden?
You will see. I don't want to reveal too much just, in a live draw. I want to leave some mystery to it. Let's see. But aside from Mummel, there's a note on the map that people coming from a different direction could use purple flares to signal drifter ships. Certain drifter ships had been commissioned to help people trying to go to Eden. Clementine had an alliance with the Drifter Nation. But what I was going to say is that there are faster ways to get to Eden than by boat and by land. Flying is one of them. Someone could get there a lot faster if they were flying. Or if, say, someone could swim underwater and was, used to currents and things like that, they could make really good time. Matt says, so you're saying Eden's location is too inconvenient to be arbitrary, and there must be a reason why Eden was built where it was built. That is exactly what I'm saying, Matt. Yes.
Did Clementine find that place on her own?
Define on her own.
I mean, did she just look around and stumble upon it, or was she told about a place?
She read about it.
Okay.
And she was told about it.
Okay.
I mean, through research and listening,
Gotcha.
it came upon her awareness.
I always draw people with such long necks.
Giraffe necks. Zach said, but what about teleportation? You know, I don't think there are any characters in Claire that can teleport.
Except some that are blue.
I know, but like I'm talking about people who don't make portals through the water.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a very, very unique circumstance. Like, I'm pretty sure she's the only one that can do that.
Hmm.
Let me retract that statement. Because I mean, she's, I think, the only character who will ever do that. But, yeah, I'm just going to shut up on that account.
When did Gabby go from being a blue angel to being a former selfie? Who decided that? When did it happen?
I don't know exactly when it happened, but I'm pretty sure that the selfie thing was Aisha's idea. Well, no, it was my idea to make her a Selkie, but because I had done that back in Plymouth, I remember. I know you're giving me this look, but I made that up like before I even moved here, before you were working on the story.
I mean, I had input on the story for a long time before you actually moved here.
But I think I wanted her to be a Selkie because I thought I didn't really want everybody in the story to be like... I just thought it would be good to have some representation of characters that weren't like really thin all the time, and I thought bringing in Selkies would be a cool way to have more characters like that were not super thin and that were badass and cool. And then I was like, I don't want to make a bunch more characters just for that, though. What if I could somehow make one of the characters a Selkie? And Gabby kind of seemed to fit the bill. How did we come up with the whole siren thing? Don't remember.
I took what you had already had Gabby doing. I thought about singing, and that brought to mind sirens, and I thought, well, that could easily be like the equivalent of a water shard. How would that happen? Gabby's a Selkie. Perhaps sirens are Selkies that died badly, like,
Mm-hmm.
you know, shards are humans that died badly.
Mm-hmm.
Matt says, isn't the siren transformation actual Selkie mythology? No.
No, it's not.
You're the one who designed the sirens, though. Well, I don't actually, did you design them, or did you take the...
No, yeah, they were based on some other things that I had seen, but they were kind of a mix of this one horror movie cover that I had seen and anglerfish and the Starbucks logo.
Mm-hmm.
So kind of a medley of inspirations there. I should have told Ash before she headed out that I'm almost done with this picture.
Mm.
And that's the end.
Let me know if you want me to try and go grab her.
That's okay. I think she's probably just going to the bathroom. If anybody has any more questions, please let us know soon so we can answer them together when Ash gets back. Because we're pretty close to wrapping this up now. In fact, I think let's eat.
That is it. You're not gonna do another. Or you're,
That's it.
that's it.
It's done. I've done 6 already.
Man, I guess so. Yeah. We flew through this. Does anyone have any last questions?
I mean, I'm gonna wait till Ash gets back.
Oh, okay.
I'm not gonna close up without her. I know she wants to say bye.
Does anyone have any questions to bide the time?
Oh, goodbye, Fernandita. Thank you for coming. It's always a joy to have newcomers. Oh, Paulina asked, who's our favorite character from The Good Place?
Oh my gosh,
Tahani.
Janet's.
Oh yeah,
is my
Janet too.
favorite.
I really like Janet.
Janet is an angel. I really liked, I don't know, just everything about her. I thought her character was great.
Mm-hmm.
The actress does a good job with her. There's not really a character that I dislike in The Good Place.
I think Chidi is kind of boring and predictable.
Yeah, I think he's...
I also...
well, Jason...
I really
at some
love the
points-
actor who plays Jason in other things I've seen him in,
Yeah.
but I hate his character.
I think his character is written a little bit flat. Like, I
Yeah.
think Chidi is more interesting than Jason's character just because Jason's character seems like such a overblown stereotype of what he's supposed to be.
Yeah. He irritates me more than anything.
Yeah.
And it's a shame because I really do like his actor a lot.
And I think there are definitely some shining moments for his character, but yeah. No one takes the cake like Janet.
Is there any concept you'd like to have in the story, but you don't think it really fits with your current characterization? I think I've already tried to use Claire as a vehicle for every trope and stuff that I want to do, and I want to stop doing that and start saving them for other stories.
Mm-hmm.
How about you, Ash? Is there any concept that you would like to have in the story, but you don't think fits with your current characterization? Sci-fi. That can be its own story.
Space baby Claire.
Space baby.
Those days are over.
I just finished the last picture, so we can wrap up whenever. But we could answer a little more questions and.
I don't know. I'd have to think about that. Like, I mean, I think Sister Claire's a pretty flexible world. I'd like to write more stories about, like, queer people that are more relatable in a modern world, I think. Like, I think I'm glad that a lot of people really enjoy Sister Claire for its diverse cast. And I'm glad that we can make that in a fantasy setting. But I would really like to do that in a way that, like, the characters are leaping out of the pages and into someone's consciousness because their situations, like the character situations, are similar to, like, immediately to what the readers themselves might be experiencing. Because as relatable as some people might find Oscar, I mean, you know, she lives in the equivalent of island Paris. So, in, you know, 100 years ago. So, and with magic. So, yeah, I mean, yeah, relatable in a way, I guess, but also, like, wouldn't it be great if the parallels could be stronger? Like, I feel like we try to do the best we can with what we've got, and just because something's fantasy doesn't mean you can't have the parallels. But yeah, I'd like them to be more immediate. I'd like to do that.
You did do those life rights that were really cool.
Some of them were okay. I don't know. I didn't like others.
I loved especially how Oscar talked to the twins. Your whole life is pink. Do you want to take any more questions?
Oh, Zach is saying, you're not the only one, Zach. Zach said, Ash, I tried sending something to your P.O. box, but it got returned. Amazon said that you have moved and that I should correct the address. That isn't, like, Amazon is incorrect. You might have sent it, there was, like, a window of, like, 3 to 4 days where, see, the thing about our post office is that it's a very historic post office, and they won't let you pay for your P.O. box online or anything, so you have to go in person to re-up it when it runs out. We tend to pay for it every 6 months, like in 6-month increments. And I got a notice over email, so I'm not sure why we couldn't pay for it digitally. But hey, that's just the way it is. I got a notice over email that I needed to go re-up it. And I went, but there had been a space of like 2 days where it technically wasn't paid for, and anything that arrived in that small window of time had gotten bounced back to whoever sent it. So I'm sorry. That problem has been corrected, but at least I thought it had been corrected because I went and I paid for another 6 months. And it definitely got debited from our bank account.
We can go check it out.
Yeah.
Soon.
It would be better if you could do it. Like, because I you know, the work situation. Yeah. So, Matt is asking about what other pictures were drawn, and
several pictures of Nib.
Yeah, are you going to post them on Patreon?
We don't usually, so.
Okay. Matt wants to see them because he missed them. Yeah.
Do a quick scroll through.
I think that's fair. There might have been some people who missed them.
Okay. Do you want to say goodnight after I show the pictures?
Yeah. Okay.
Here's a picture of Nib looking at a map. Use your imagination to remember that it's a map and not a blank piece of paper. A picture of Nib eating seaweed with chopsticks. That's probably my favorite one I did tonight. And here's a picture of an older, maybe 40-something-year-old Nib in traveling clothes.
40-something.
That's what the picture description said. That's what Laura said. Here is a picture of 12-year-old Marguerite hanging out with some Selkie who's not Gabby. Here is Zora and her grandmother making a tornado. It's a twista.
Zora's not making it.
No, well, I said here they are, and here's her grandma making a tornado. And here is Nib holding a Royal Guard sash and looking distressed into the distance. And that's it. That's all I got. Shall we sing good night? Good night, good night, good night, good night. Thank you so much for coming, everyone.